pieces remain together 200 years is rather rare. We have the china cabinet, the break front, the server, the table and chairs. The china cabinet is so made, which indicates it originated in France back, and we have one down there. On the table, the pitcher is an old coin silver pitcher made of many melted silver dollars. 1800, dated in the 1800s. The plate is sterling. There's 5% more silver in coins found today. If you look back in the front parlor, a single barley twist wood. We had one just like it in the front parlor, and it fell and was beyond repair. That old hardware, hand carved with the nice old claw feet.
Her husband built this through a closet way so that they would have this storm cellar in the event of hurricanes. They could come down here instead of having to go outside and down through that earlier entrance there. These are the upstairs bedrooms. They're still used as a bed and breakfast. Trundle bed. Climbed up. I wonder what the point of being so high up was. Maybe to, not get away from heat, because that's where heat rose to. And I'll just pan from the upstairs veranda, if you will, looking out the main drag. Although it catches the afternoon sun, so I'm not sure when you would find it enjoyable to be here, except in the early morning and perhaps in the wintertime. We're in the upstairs hallway. Again, the ceilings are 14 feet high. And apparently, oftentimes people gathered in these large hallway areas because of the cross ventilation. Room set up for the bed and breakfast, of course, with this refrigerator. But what a novel bed and breakfast day. Upstairs to an unfinished attic. The man who built this died at 52. He was quite a party man. He actually built this because his second young wife said she would marry him if he moved away from the cabin 5 miles away and built this beautiful home for her. That is a lady I definitely want to avoid.
And all they had to offer. The Delta Queen was designated and called the quintessential Southern mansion. Dr. Walter Ross Wade hired architect David Schroeder to build the home on his cotton plantation.
This was built at a cost of $10,000. That was a lump sum contract between Dr. Wade and David Schroeder, whose name's on the Mississippi Landmark plaque over there. It took me a year and a half to build. Slight overrun on the cost. It was $10,850. Dr. Wade got pretty mad about it, but eventually gave up and paid, and was pretty well satisfied.
Dr. Wade's original construction contract with Schroeder is still intact, along with Dr. Wade's diary, which is still kept in the home's library.
He wrote it longhand, of course, like this. This page has highlighted in yellow the entry when he signed the contract to build the house. Contract with David Schroeder for a cost of $10,000. This mansion was built.
The mansion is a classic Greek revival structure.
The columns on the house are brick. The brick of pie shape, about this size, made by hand by slaves right here on the site and plastered over. The original plans were to build an entire house of brick, but somehow that batch turned out too soft. A lot of it crumbled apart. It could not be used in the outside walls. It would weather away. The builder, David Schroeder, said, don't worry, Dr. Wade, I'll make some more brick. He told him, no, forget it, change it to a frame house and get it finished so he could get married. And that's what happened.
The mansion itself is made entirely of cypress, except for the floors, which are heart of pine. It has 14 rooms with 14-foot-high ceilings and 10 fireplaces.
Shortly after it was built, Dr. Wade came home from church one Sunday, said 13 ladies arrived to see the home. He was not yet married to make up, so I think some of them were probably bringing their daughters around to meet this wealthy gentleman.
But Dr. Wade already had his heart set on Maybella Chamberlain and built the mansion for her. They were married and had 8 children. Rosswood was a thriving 1,250-acre cotton plantation with 105 slaves. Dr. Wade didn't want the slaves who did the housework to have to walk a mile to and from the fields to get to the mansion every day.
So, slave furniture was usually homemade by the slaves themselves. We've got some cypress rope bed with just ropes between the rails and the head of footboard, crisscrossing. On top of the rope, they put a mattress stuffed with Spanish. Improved chairs that we've got one that's a deer-high chair. Even an emergency state law banning emancipation of slavery within the state. He was blocked for a time, but he finally managed, actually happened through his will after he died in 1836, that his slave could be taken to New Orleans, set free there, and then their way paid to go back to Africa. And
before us is the second largest temple mound in the United States. Only Monk's Mound in Cahokia, Illinois is larger. This 8-acre mound, constructed from a natural hill, was built and used from about 1300 to 1600 by the Mississippians, ancestors of the Natchez Indians. Unlike dome-shaped mounds constructed only for burials, emerald mounds supported temples, ceremonial structures, and burials of a complex society's civic and religious leaders. We'll go up on top. The area up on top is about 65 acres in dimension, I believe. The whole mound was built on a original natural hill. Its topography was somewhat damaged because of farming these slopes, if you can imagine it, as well as farming up on top. I guess 65 acres of flat land is too irresistible. It's a pretty impressive mound. It said that this one is unique in that it was a ceremonial center. In other words, this platform was a ceremonial center. I would have thought that was what the top of many of the mounds were for, but apparently not. At the bottom you can see a diagram of how it used to be when initially constructed. So you had 2 large domes, if you will. The one to the left that we're in front of right now is the largest, and then 3 on either side, each with their own home, probably to support, with their own little structure, which was probably the residence of various leaders, which looks kind of conical, but it doesn't appear that that's the way it was initially designed. But it apparently had 2 smaller mounds on top of it, in case that at least 2 small mounds stood along the north and south sides of the primary platform. These mounds may have supported structures of wood plastered with clay. Are they referring to mounds down where my van is parked? Interesting about this drawing is, what are those projections up on top? Were they some kind of air vents? Now we're almost at the very top of this first larger of the 2 mounds. The stairway that we just climbed up, was there formerly a ramp? instead of some kind of stairway. I don't recall that in the picture. We're now almost to the smaller of the two mounds. I'll get up on top and then look back so you can see that this is that east-west orientation. Right now the sun is slightly off to my left shoulder, but perhaps at the moment that it came up, at certain times of the year it would have been directly in line with the view that we have now, coming directly over my head from behind on this east-west axis. While we're on a mound right now, it's really only a portion of a mound because it's truncated, if you will, by the steep side of the overall mound. And imagine that down there at one time there was the moat, perhaps filled with water. You can just imagine the people who migrated here from their villages and small little settlements for whatever magnum opus type of ceremonies went on here. Why those steps are off center from the center line that we can see from here. Whereas I pan that there would have been 3 more mounds on this side with structures on those homes, and the symmetrical same 3 mounds on this side. Just another perspective from the far corner. What's interesting is I recognize a similarity between this and Tikal, in that there in Tikal are also 2 significant mounds, more dramatic than these 2, that face each other across the plaza. Now I'm at the opposite corner from over there, and I wonder if this slope that we're going to walk down now was an original access slope. Sadly, it's thought that the decline of the use of this mound was the direct result of De Soto's 1540s trek through this part of the country and the spreading of European diseases, and thus the killing off of great numbers of these people. If the killing off of so many of them by a force that they knew nothing about and that was completely unique to their culture and their history, i.e. European diseases, caused a breakdown in the confidence of the leadership of these societies, this culture.